and welcome to Deja Brew. And today we have our special guest, Martha McVeigh, our Soulfully You member, and Rhonda, our co-host of Soulfully You. And the three of us are going to have a conversation today with Martha. And Martha has been a member of Soulfully You for the last, year and a half, two
Right,
years.
right.
And I knew about this story that she's going to tell us about. Um, and it's related to where she lives in Arizona. So I'm going to go ahead before we get started and she shares her story about the heart tree. Um, we'll start off with cheers, drinking from our mugs. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over. Rhonda, do you want to share your story about your mug and what you're drinking today?
I do. I have my owl mug today, and I chose this one because we're talking about a tree, and owls are one of my favorite animals, and it's my was my grandmother's spirit animal. So I wanted to bring her energy in with us for this conversation. And then I'm just drinking my regular freshly brewed French roast black coffee.
Nice. Um, so how about you, Martha?
Well, I have my favorite mug here. And the funny thing is, I realized last night when I pulled it out to get
I love
ready
that.
for today that I got this mug from a friend who I met through the Heart Tree. And
Oh,
I didn't even pull
interesting.
that together. Yeah. Yeah.
I love
Wow.
Isn't
it.
that wonderful? And it's
What does
it's
it
a
say on the
well, it's
inside?
a Buddha, which I love. And if you look
Yes,
at
I
the
love Buddha.
inside, it says what you think you become, what you feel you attract, what you imagine you create. And it's Buddha.
Oh, I
Oh,
love
that's
So,
it.
beautiful.
yeah.
I
So,
love
I
it.
love that.
and I
Yes.
am drinking organic orange and turmeric tea.
Oh, yummy.
Oh, but I
Nice.
also add two cloves and fresh lemon and um, cinnamon.
That sounds
Nice.
amazing.
Hmm.
Sounds nice. I love it.
Yes.
I love hearing the stories. I'm drinking out of my Happy Camper mug. I love this mug. I have a fascination with Airstreams and caravans, um, which is what the Brits call their campers, and I like that word better than camper. Anyway, I'm drinking coffee and actually we bought a milk frother. Last year and so Richard loves to steam the milk and put it in there. So it's like drinking a little latte actually. So I'm really enjoying that this morning.
Mhm.
Okay, well, and I wanted to just mention for any of the new people in Soulfully You that are maybe unfamiliar with Deja Brew. I mean, this is really like an internal podcast style conversation that we have periodically with, our members and with coaches and healers and other like-minded people and it's really meant to be sharing fascinating stories and learning about each other. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. Um, so I did want to just kick it off to you, Martha, and help us learn a little bit about the heart tree and how it came to be.
Okay. It started in 2008. I unfortunately had a run-in with bilateral breast cancer, and I had a lot of problems with healing. Took about 2 years to finally heal. But in the meantime, my beautiful Beatrice Maria, a cat that I'd had since she was a kitten, she's after I got diagnosed and I had the surgery, she started sitting behind me on my couch. She'd never done it before. And she started taking her tail and just gently stroking my chest where
Mm.
all this was going on. And it was so absolutely touching and beautiful to witness her grace towards me and her love. And so I just have to say that it was remarkable to have that happen because during the time, a lot of people sort of took off and weren't comfortable with what I was going through, but my Beatrice Marie was right there, one of my hugest supporters through cancer. And when I healed up after about 2 years, she stopped doing it.
Wow.
And which was, I thought, really incredible and intuitive of her. And so, about a year after that, when she was 18 years old, she passed away. And it broke my heart. And so I started hiking up this trail and I started finding these little heart-shaped rocks. And I found this little barrel cactus, not very tall, and I started placing all these little heart rocks around the barrel cactus. And I probably had like maybe 25 hearts, 30 hearts. And I went up there to add another one, and the cactus was gone, literally gone. And
Oh,
there's lots of cacti around there that it's like, why mine? And it was just a bunch of spines left there, and the hearts were scattered about. And so I picked up the hearts, put them in a big bag, and I took them up the hill, and I found a tree to place them under. And that's what's so amazing to me. But for however that cactus disappeared, it there never would have been a heart tree, but for that
right.
happening. So that started out the whole just amazing journey of the heart tree.
And where is the heart tree located?
It's in Phoenix, and it's at 32nd Street and Lincoln, and it's a I don't know if it's a preserve there or not, but it's a hiking trail, and it's hiked by many people, and it's a really great place. So I'm really honored to have it there. Really honored to have it there.
Yeah, and so are you from the area? Is that where have you lived in Arizona very long? I mean, before this happened?
I went from Santa Barbara to Phoenix in '86,
Hmm.
and I just started hiking that trail, you know, not too long before. That was 2011 when it started. 2011. So I started hiking a little bit before then, and it's been a real beautiful part of my life. I can't even really articulate what it's meant to me.
Martha,
Yeah.
where do you find your heart rocks? Like, are they just on the trail or
Yeah, and that's
really?
the amazing thing.
Is amazing.
Yeah, I picked them all up from the trail. And so when I started placing them around there, then I would go up there. Yeah, I was so grief struck, and I used that place to really help me with my grief.
Hmm.
And then I noticed it started, it started growing, and I'm thinking, well, this is amazing. And then I would find all these wonderful things up there, like some of them are pretty wacky. One was like somebody put a little Martian up there, and there's I found things like a disc with animal ashes. I mean,
Ah,
if you could see the things I've found up there, it's been, people celebrating their relationship, and um yeah,
So it's,
so
so it's just not grief, it's love.
celebration as
Yeah.
well.
And so there, yeah,
Celebration as
that's
well.
pretty, oh,
Absolutely.
I love
Absolutely.
that. So it sounds like you fairly quickly realized that it was having meaning for other people based on what you were finding. And I was curious, how did that make you want to go up there periodically to kind of see, out of curiosity, or it sounds like you're kind of the caretaker of the tree. Um, is there any stories, any other stories that kind of come to mind about like I think I was curious if you've ever met anyone up there at the same time or, while you were there and you're kind of like, having a conversation with someone and they're sharing with you directly why they're there. Anything around that to share? Because I find that very interesting when you're at the same place at the same time.
exactly. And there's been multiple times that's happened. Um, One thing I'd like to backtrack a little bit that I've never shared with you is about 3 years after the heart tree was growing and blossoming, I was maybe going to move back to Chicago for work. And it was a really hard decision because I didn't want to leave the heart tree. I really didn't. And I was up there, I was sitting there and just kind of praying, going, what am I going to do? How am I going to leave this?
Mhm.
How can I do this? And this woman starts walking by and she looks at me. She goes, did I meet you up here before? And I said, I don't think so. And she goes, you were here last week? I said, no, no. And then we got to talking, and she had been grieving the loss of her dog and had put heart rocks down there. And so I got, connected with her on that level. And I told her how, I had started this in 2011 and that I was going to be possibly moving to Chicago. And I was just so very sad because I didn't know who was going to take care of the heart tree. And she said, well, I have to tell you, she goes, when I was a young girl in Pennsylvania, I believe it was Pennsylvania, she said, my grandmother would take me to these abandoned graves and she would show me how to clean them up and give them respect and um, pay attention to these graves that were really, sort of dismissed. And she says, you know what, Martha? She goes, you can pass the baton to me.
Wow.
And I mean, what are the chances? So I ended up not going to Chicago, thank God. But through her, we're still to this day very, very good friends. And through her, I mean, this is why I have this cup, another dear friend of mine. That all blossomed with the heart
Yeah,
tree.
that is
Yeah.
amazing.
And she started going up there with me and we'd meet and we would just have fun days cleaning it together and meeting
That's
people and
amazing. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah. And
Yeah, a
she,
connection.
yeah, really,
Wow.
and it's I have like three really good friends from the heart tree that
Oh, that's
I
cool.
really love that are so that space has been very kind to me and I believe to others. I know.
Yeah, I mean it feels I mean when I feel into the energy there, it just feels
Mm,
it's clearly a very special place, but it's almost like an energetic vortex, a portal,
Right.
um, you know, um and there's no mistake. I mean, I agree with you. Like you are guided to go there. Those people are all meant to be crossing paths with you. And I really feel that in a lot of ways, this is part of your legacy. It's definitely part of your legacy. Because I think that our legacies, I think, are complex. I mean, I don't think it's just one thing. There's many things that we are kind of leaving behind. But the other feeling that I have as you're describing this is it's almost like a virtual foundation. When people create foundations, it's usually a labor of love. Something happened, and they're creating a nonprofit to help educate the public about something that really changed their lives. And in some ways, like this has, it's not technically a foundation, but it is that kind of community building focus where people have, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to even market it, even though I know that, it sounds like people have written stories about it, personal stories about it, but also, people have, I think there was a reporter that did a story on it in the local Phoenix News. They found out about it. But that's not the same as actually really trying to market something and bring people there. It has a life of its own where it's attracting its own people and it causes like this ripple effect.
Absolutely. That is so well said, Sheila, because it to watch it blossom like that has been affected me profoundly because I just started it and I out of this profound grief and to see it help so many people. I mean, I have a couple of two specific stories that, if I may share, that I think can prove that,
Mhm.
that affected me deeply. I had, it was right before Christmas, and I hiked up there, and I was stunned to find that the top of the tree had been decorated by someone. And, there was these filigreed silver hearts and then all these red hearts
Mm.
and which was like, wow, I wonder who did that. That's amazing. And I went up the hill, I collected some more hearts, and I came back down, and I saw a woman and two children standing there. And the woman was writing on one of the filigreed hearts on some ribbon. And I thought, I might be able to find out where this came from. And so I went up to her and I said, "Do you have something to do with decorating this heart tree up here?" And she said, "Actually, yes." She says, "I came up here last week with my best friend." She said she lost her son in a car accident, and
Mm.
she was so grief struck. She said, I can't have a Christmas tree. I can't decorate it at home." She goes, "Let's go up to the heart tree and decorate that." And I it just your
Mm.
best friend's Austin Sterling Hicks, I'll never forget it, his name on that ribbon. And I thought, to think that this started with my little
My
hearts.
goodness, that is so
And
beautiful.
it's what it did for that woman, in her
Mm.
grief. So
It's
and it's
healing
it's
so
been
many
really
people.
humbling to me to be sort of an innocent little vehicle to have helped people in their grief while I was grieving. So it's and another story that just I don't even know how to sometimes settle this in my heart because it's so huge to me. I was up there once again, I was behind the heart tree, and a man and a woman walked by, and they looked and they said, "Are you all right back there?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm fine." And then I came out from the tree and we started talking about everything, and I told her that very story about this woman and the heart tree and her not being able to decorate her own home because of her son. Um, and so we had a really beautiful talk, and they were from out east somewhere, and they just happened to hear about the hiking trail and come upon the heart tree. And we just had the most beautiful talk, and it was goodbye, and I thought I'd never see him again. And then that next year, that must have been 2017 because 2018, I was diagnosed again with breast cancer. And I go up there and I sit behind the tree a lot just to get grounded and just to feel safe. And I'm sitting behind the tree and I see this woman, two women, and the woman, she looks down like this. She goes, "Is that you?" And I learned that I had met with her husband the year before, just randomly. And she was with this, I'm getting chills thinking about it right now. I come down and she says, I want you to meet my sister. She says, "I specifically brought her back to Phoenix or to Phoenix to see this heart tree." She said, "She recently lost her son."
Mm.
And so I don't know how, and so we both hugged each other and we were crying and I mean, how profound that is for me and humbling to
Wow.
be part of her grief.
Yeah.
And it ended up when we left, it was just such a beautiful meeting. And but how do you explain that timing? That I would be
Yeah.
there at that
Yeah.
moment and she would be there a year later. I don't
Destined.
know.
Yeah.
All I can say is there's something a lot bigger than us
Yeah,
going on here.
absolutely. Absolutely.
How special is that tree though?
I
Like
know.
like she just said it. I mean, it's definitely that energy. There's some energy
There's
you
no doubt about it.
created.
There's no, I mean, I was just up there, a couple weeks ago and I was sitting there and this man hikes by with his dog. He goes, "Oh, you're sitting at the heart mound." He goes, "Do you realize these are all hearts and heart-shaped rocks?" And I said, "Actually, yes." And we got to talking. And he said that, he had been a teacher for a long time. And he was at 71, he said at that point. He said three of his students over the years had died, and he had placed three, hearts for each one of them. So I wonder even what's happening up there when I'm not there, the stuff um, that happens up there. I mean, and something that really affected me as well is I was up there grooming her, and because a lot of times I think kids can jump on it and things get, and I just keep her beautiful. And
Does she have a
um,
name?
I don't have a name.
No?
That's a really good, I just call her the heart tree.
Okay.
And I know my friend that her name is Sean, that I met up there, that said I could pass the baton to her. She
Mm,
calls it the shrine. Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Oh, but I was up there, and I saw something uh, sort of sticking out of the mud in between some of the hearts. And, out of curiosity, I thought, well, I'll put whatever this is back just where I got it. So I unearthed it a little bit, and it was a little box, and I opened it up, and it was a wedding set with ashes.
Oh, wow.
And I was so stunned, and I put it very gently back where it came from with a lot of respect. But I thought, who is this person that found this the perfect place to leave their someone's ashes with the, could have been his wife that passed, or who knows what. But I thought, once again, it started with my little hearts, that I don't know how to articulate enough how humbling that is, to be a part of someone's grief.
Mm-hmm.
Or
It's very powerful.
it is very powerful. I mean,
Yeah.
I've said before, I never had children, and I had a lot of grief about that, but this is my child, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
100%.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, some beautiful stuff going on up there.
And your kitty.
Oh, my Beatrice.
Yeah.
Yes, and I really created that for Beatrice, and my love for her, and my gratitude, and for anybody that's suffered with cancer, because it's a hard journey. It's so I'm just really proud and humbled, like I said, to see that it's grown. So I'm really happy. A friend of mine surprised me with she took a picture of the panoramic sort of view of it. I have it right here looking at it. And because the tree's getting a little weathered with the hot summers, and so I have it preserved, and it's you're just looking at this mountain of rocks that's like all these different lives that chose to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and probably find some joy and you know comfort.
I think I
So
mentioned before, like, I think you should write a book about it, like either a children's book or even just with all those stories. It's so healing.
that is so interesting you say that, because I was just talking to a very dear friend of mine that lives in LA. She's been up to the Heart Tree with me twice. And she told me recently that she had started a children's book about the Heart Tree,
Oh,
which
that's
I
Oh,
mean, this she just told me that 2 weeks ago. And I thought, well, that's interesting.
mhm.
I told her, I said, I'll be happy to help you in any way. I said, I was up there. It's so fun when I'm up there and I meet children, and they realize it's all a bunch of hearts, and they get so excited.
Oh,
The children get so excited. It's such a joy to witness. And I tell them, once you start seeing rocks, heart shapes, I said, you see them everywhere. I mean, I'm so trained to see them in the world that I see them in clouds. I even and they come to me all the time. I even had a loaf of bread the other day that the end of it was a heart-shaped
heal,
I love
heel.
heal.
It's like, what?
I love
That's
that.
They
It's
come
so
to me.
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, and
Well,
I
it's no
get
wonder
gifts.
It's no wonder that you told me you were the first one to tell me about Aloka, the dog
Yes.
with the
Mhm.
Oh,
heart-shaped
yes.
marking on his forehead.
Absolutely. I love that dog and that
Oh,
whole.
this, yes. And the monks, they're just,
Yeah.
they're pure joy. Yeah.
Oh, I saw this morning, there's a picture of, it's called Flowers in the Snow, and they're walking in the snow holding fresh flowers. It was like, does it
Oh,
get more beautiful than that?
I
no.
know it's so symbolic too, isn't it? I mean, when you think
Yes.
about resilience and you think that it's so gloomy, and then this burst of a bloom comes out of the crack of of the ground, and the same
Yes.
thing with the snow versus the flowers. I also just wanted to mention, listening about the heart tree and the environment that it's in, symbolic, because being in the desert and having a tree and having it be weathered, but it still survives. It's still there in the elements, through all the seasons, through all of the heat, through the windstorms, and yet it's resilient. It remains. And then also the other thought that was coming to me too is how, nature is a church,
Mhm.
and how,
Amen.
people come there. There are no walls, but it's the same thing as gathering at if you were going to a memorial or some type of, gathering for someone who has made their transition. It's like a place, a holy place. And um, I really want to go there when I come.
Mhm.
I really want to go visit that tree with you when I come to Arizona.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
Has Susan been up there yet?
No, Susan hasn't been up there. I'd love to have her be able to do that. It's all back and forth. It's like a mile. And
Oh, okay.
there's some dips and so it's not a real hard hike, but it does take some um effort
Energy.
definitely
Yeah.
to energy to I would love to see her be able to go up there.
Hmm.
I would love that.
I could see her.
Yeah. But this whole it's interesting that something like you said, the crack and the flower coming out, it's like, that something from pure grief created something so beautiful that there is, um, there is some real amazing gifts you can get from grief.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it also, it makes me think too, about the grief and just the spirit of community wanting to come to a place like that to feel safe and to feel, it's like not just community, it's humanity. It's the
Mhm.
humanity in people that have like a place to go to dedicate or to devote, whatever is on their hearts, whether it's a celebration either way. I mean, whether it's a relationship or even the passing or the transition is a celebration and a graduation to the divine. But um I'm very moved by this story, and I really feel it has a lot of legs to
I do
become a
too.
bigger story. And the other thing I was going to say is, in the time period that we're in with so much social media, and a lot of things are scripted, the thing I think that is appealing about this is its authenticity. And
Right.
So organic.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's completely
exactly.
natural, and there's nothing about it. There's nothing artificial about it. there's nothing prescribed. There's nothing, it just has a life of its own. And I think people really need that right now. They need to have things in their
Absolutely.
life that is like that because everything else is,
Anti-AI.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's just a purity to the
yeah.
space, and especially in this fractured world and all the negativity around it, that there's nothing but beauty, pure beauty up there, and
Mm.
grace. It's a place that people can go to, and there's nothing about it that's negative or evil or
It's all love.
yeah, like and another thing I wanted to add too before I forget is I was up there one day, and I saw this woman very gently placing a heart down, and we started talking, and she was from Japan, and she said because of this heart tree, her father had passed away, and because of the heart tree, she had started a heart garden in Japan for her father.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that's what I
oh,
I
I mean,
definitely
I wonder how many
feel.
people have done that, that
No,
they've
I
started their own gardens, their own,
treat. Yeah, no, it definitely will grow.
because it's just
You also had
pure.
a story about I'd like to hear about when you met the ranger.
Oh,
That's a good.
that was really wild. That was only just a couple of weeks ago when I met the gentleman that had placed the hearts for his students that had passed. I'd taken a friend up there, and she was helping me. We were grooming the tree because it had really had a lot of sort of damage from the sun. And so
And
we
what
were,
kind of tree is it?
I think it's maybe a Palo Verde.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it might be a Palo Verde. I'm not sure. So we were grooming it and taking off the dead branches, and this I see this woman coming up like this up the trail. She had an attitude, and she was the park ranger, and you have to, you know, keep everything natural up there or they take it away because there's been so many things. Like one time I was up there and somebody placed this beautiful crocheted angel at the base of the tree. I mean,
Oh,
people just put stuff there that's but and it gets taken as well, but it keeps on keeps on happening. Um, so she's coming up and she's got all these tattoos on her arms and she goes, "What are you gals doing?" I said, "Well, we're just taking care of the tree." And she's had some trouble through the summer. And she said, "Well, you're not using shears or anything, are you?" And I said, "Oh, we're just no, we're just being very." And she was very defensive. And it's funny because somebody, it must have been a child, I'll back up a little bit, had placed one of those little googly eyes, that roll around and on one of the heart rocks. I thought, well, that's new. Um,
that's so
it
cute.
was darling, yeah. And so I could tell that she was like so negative. So I said, "Do you have any idea how this tree became?" And she had no idea. So I told her the story about Beatrice Marie and what she did for me. And she said, "Oh my God." And she said, "Look at these tattoos on my arm." She had two huge cats, one here and one here. And she told me their names. She goes, "These are my life. These are the most important animals to me and on the planet." And she goes, "That's why they're memorialized right here." And so right then she just softened because she knew this was also about a feline that meant everything to me. And so end of the story, she softened. She was so kind about it at that point. And then she said, "I'm going to keep an eye out for this place." And she goes, "I thank you so much for sharing the story. It just has been meant so much." And so then she said, right when she got ready to leave, she goes, "Is it okay if I take that googly eye?" And I said, "Sure." It's like she went from being defensive to asking permission to,
Yeah,
take something
showing
that wasn't
respect.
natural, yeah, for the tree. But I mean, God, there's been so many things that have happened up there that just
So I think what's interesting too about this, Martha, is how healing it has been for you.
Oh,
Mhm.
oh.
And and I think that, again, like when we were talking about, being of service, when you have something like that you've created and it's outside of yourself. It's something that you're doing for the world, for people, I mean, it started for yourself, for processing the pain of the loss, but um, I think there's just so much wisdom in knowing that when we have to allow ourselves to feel the pain and to be we need our pain and our grief to be witnessed, and we need to be seen and heard, of course. And the thing is like while and then at some point when you're doing this sort of this process, the going and the grooming of the tree, the maintenance, the service, all of that is contributing to the planet, and that is how it keeps us going and also keeps us, you know, it's very healing for you on all levels.
Absolutely, absolutely. That whole experience has given so much back to me, and
And
just knowing
and
that it's helping people.
yeah, and I think it's also teaching other people how to heal.
Mhm.
Like by you sharing your story of what you've done, it plants the seed with them so that when something happens to them, or, obviously they're hearing about it, they're coming to the tree, but then they're bringing more people because it's so relatable. Because we're not given, no, obviously none of us were given a tool like a handbook on how to deal with the harder times, in life.
Exactly.
And I just feel like it's everything. It's the healing, it's the service. And I think that's why this story has so many legs, because no matter what way you're thinking about it, there's a story to be told. There's a lens. It's like multi-dimensional. You look at it spiritually, you can look at it from the community angle, you can look at it with relationship and friendships that you've sparked new friendships
Mm.
out of this. And
Mhm.
because it's so authentic, it's so true, there's nothing, it's so pure, as you were saying.
Yeah, there's nothing about it that isn't full of light.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting too, because um, it's a reminder for us all, like when we're checking in with ourselves, to know like what is right for us, what is true for us. When we are in alignment, doing things that are in alignment with who we are, this is the kind of example, like you're getting validation left, right, left and right, left and right, how you're in alignment doing what you love to do, and it's bringing more joy. And and that's the other thing. Many people just like are stuck and they don't know which way to go, or they're not sure if they're in alignment or not. Well, this is how you know you're in alignment, when this sort of thing is
Yes.
happening in space.
Yes. Yes. And I would love to too, Sheila, to like for instance, last week, a dear friend of mine's cat passed, and I hiked up there, and I placed in a secret garden back there. I placed a heart back there, and I painted on a little red heart as well, and that meant a lot to her to
Mm.
in her grief, seeing that up there, and it's back there with Beatrice's ashes, and
Hmm.
my dear friend Charles that I lost 2 years ago, his ashes are there.
Oh,
And I
wow.
would love to go up there, Sheila, and with you and place a heart. I know you lost your dear dog, and I know that's been really hard on you. And I'd be honored to go up there and place a heart with you for your dog.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I was thinking I'd also like to leave some ashes, some of my dad's ashes. Um,
Absolutely.
and you know, um, I just think I think Rhonda's right. I think there's something about the story here. It's a universal story that I mean, it's almost like you don't have to do anything. You may not be the writer. I mean, you could, but you don't, even if you don't want to do that, someone is going to help you make that come to life so it can be told
Oh,
and shared.
continues. Yeah.
And I think, children, to your point earlier about you not having your own physical children, these children are your children. These children that are coming to the heart tree are your children. And you are a
Exactly.
mother. You
It's
are a
bigger.
mother.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
I always, that's a whole other conversation because, I am also, I'm not a physical mother in this lifetime either, at some point. Um, But I definitely I think that's part of the healing is having that realization, which I believe that you have had that realization, in your since you've been working on since the heart tree has come into your life. That is how we reconcile the things that have happened to us or for us and the things that we might not have understood many years ago, but we have a clear understanding of why things unfolded the way they did. And you know, and I just think it's just powerful. It's a powerful in today's world. It's almost like if you were to fly over the Phoenix area, there would be like a shining light, like coming up, like how like when they say astronauts are flying and they can look down on Earth and they can
yes.
see the weather and the water and and it's like where's that light coming from? It's a reflection from that portal area or a vortex, whatever way is the right term, but it's just remarkable.
It's brought me closer to God.
Mm,
I mean that sincerely.
wow.
Thing to say, but I really, all the things that have happened up there has softened me, softened my heart, and made me realize it's a lot bigger than what happens down here on Earth. And
Yeah.
I really do. I think you said it well, Sheila. I'm grateful how you've been able to articulate what I really wanted to say because it's just been so healing on so many levels.
It's so magical. I mean, this is,
Yes.
I do see it. I see it growing. Like, as the story is told, other people will be doing their trees, and it's just gonna, maybe that's the healing, yeah, the earth needs.
Yeah, and if it can
And with
just,
trees, like I've been reading
yes,
about trees, that they're so magical and, they're the heart of the earth.
they
Um,
truly are. And one other really quick story, I went up to a breast cancer retreat a few years back, and it was to learn how to fly fish, which is really
ah,
cool. And I took my water bottle up there. And 2 days before I left on the retreat, I went up to this place called Duck and Decanter, and I just happened to look at this space where they had stickers, really beautiful stickers, and I looked at and I picked it. It went right to me. I have it right here. I don't know if you can see. You won't be able to see it if I show it to you, but it's a picture of a tree and someone sitting there. And I thought, there it is. It's my heart tree. So I placed it on my water bottle. I go up to this place, um, to this retreat, and I'm sitting there with my bottle. And one of the facilitators was a counselor there to help everybody. And she looks at me, she goes, where did you get that sticker? And I said, oh, I just bought it like 2 days ago. I said, it reminds me of a heart tree that I started. She goes, that's my husband's artwork. That's my husband's sticker. And
Wow.
like, what? Come on.
yeah,
Come
you're right.
on. So we had a beautiful bond that whole time up there. I mean, I'm looking at it right here. It's like, and he doesn't, he has his stickers only in certain little places. And I just happened to go to
Wow.
this little shop, and there it was. And she says, they're not out there very much. How did you find that? It's like,
Wow. And
I
then
mean,
show
I
up.
mean, how many things have happened that I, I, I don't know how to explain it except for there's something very powerful going on.
Well, yeah, and also, you know what I recognize is I really you are, you're very intuitive and you're very you're very spiritual, like you're a thoughtful person, an empathic person. Um, but it's like you're also a connector. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, everywhere you go, you're
Mhm.
connecting with other people. You're connecting people to each other. Like that is a big part of it's an aspect of yourself. I mean, we have multiple aspects to us. We're not just one way, you know? And
Hmm.
I find that you know, that is such a beautiful thing to be able to go from experience to experience from your different trips and to see the connections and the signs. I mean, that's a gift because a lot of people are not paying attention to the details like that. They just kind of are going through, um, it's more linear. It's not as heart-led, like it's just a beautiful thing. I could listen to your stories like all day long.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
I absolutely love it. And that is it's a huge part of who you are and what you're contributing to the world and the planet. It's a very healing energy. Everywhere you go, you're connecting people to help them. And it's like once that happens to them, then they go and tell their family. Like I'm sure that woman went back and told her husband, "Oh, I met this woman today and she had your sticker on her water bottle."
And they live in Prescott. They don't live in Phoenix,
Yeah, I mean,
which,
how can you even explain? Like, and to your point earlier, there is the unseen world. Like, there is a flow going on here. It's not a coincidence.
undeniable.
Yeah.
And if we could capture that and put it in a bottle for everyone, I mean, it's like I said, it's nothing but light and pure
Yeah,
light.
well,
Mm-hmm.
that is the tree. That's all about the tree. It's emanating this light and it's drawing people in. And they don't even, they're hearing about it and they're going there. And I'm sure that they go back and they are so moved by it because it's so powerful. Being in nature like that and seeing the amazement of what's going on at the tree, knowing that it has the hearts, and then they go back and tell their people, and it just spreads so naturally and organically.
That's so true. With no effort,
Mm-hmm.
Effortless.
just
Effortless.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's pretty
Yeah.
powerful.
It has changed me. I can tell you it's of all the things I can think of in my life, it's changed me. It's funny when I was a little girl, um, I would ask for a tree for my birthday. I wanted to plant a tree. And for many reasons I it didn't happen. But I'm thinking, oh boy, did I get my tree.
Wow.
God, boy, did I get my
That's
tree.
amazing.
Yeah, and I
Wow.
wanted a tree as a child, as a little
Yeah,
girl. I
that's
think that's so interesting.
So interesting. It's almost like you
Yeah.
knew
yeah.
you were going to have a destiny with a tree like this. It's
Yeah,
Yeah. And the
totally.
roots, and the just the grounding of the roots and the growth. Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day and I thought that's pretty
That's
amazing.
an amazing story. I'm still amazed about the cactus disappearing. Like
Oh,
that's just I can't yeah, like what the heck? I don't
I got a hold of a woman that was with me one of the times when I went up there, and she saw the the barrel cactus, and she went up there with me another time when it was gone. And I got a hold of her recently because I wanted a witness for that, for my
yeah.
own head, and it's like, I said, do you remember when that happened? She goes, very clearly. She says, we thought, well, could it have been a javelina? But I said, but there's so many barrel cactus around here. Why my gin joint, so to speak? You
Yeah.
know,
Right.
why mine?
Right.
And it's
Like,
like
are there
now
barrel
I
cactus
know.
thieves? Like people go up there and steal them? Is
Oh
that what
God,
happens?
no, there'd be no reason to. I
Yeah.
mean, this was
So
just,
yeah,
I mean,
so
they've
they don't.
got these long spines
Yeah,
on them that would hurt.
exactly.
It
Exactly.
made no sense that there was no sign of it. God is my witness. There was no sign of it, except the little spines and the hearts were all scattered about. It's like,
Yeah.
and okay, what if a javelina did eat it? Ouch.
Yeah.
And also, but why that one when there were so many to choose from? I can whatever that is. That's the stuff that connects me to God.
Yeah. They're like, no, Ron, Martha, not the cactus. Go
Yeah,
to the tree.
this
It's
is
so
going to be gone because you
Yes.
need to move these
Move it.
rocks.
Wrong spot. Good idea, wrong spot.
Yeah, it never would have happened. It never would have happened. It just never would have happened. So
That, yeah.
I marvel at and I'm deeply humbled by everything that's happened around it.
I
yeah,
love
it's
this story. Yeah, so
a
much.
beautiful story. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything else you want to share with us? Um, any other stories or um and if not, then let us know where what we can do. We'll put the location of it
Mhm.
in the notes when we post.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that blog would be beautiful to share too, I
Yeah,
think. If
yeah.
you care to share that with the group. I
definitely.
think that just encapsulates, you know, how how it's affected people
Yeah.
and how she was like, trying to think, who's all these different people and all these different reasons they're putting it down, their hearts down and then to meet her that day was really and then another another thing that happened with her we kind of lost contact after that and then I was getting ready, it was maybe a year later, I was getting ready to go back to Iowa and I hadn't been up there in a while because of the weather and I was getting ready to leave and I'm walking up the hiking trail to the heart tree and who do I see but the woman that wrote the blog and we went what because she says I haven't been up here for months, she says, because I hurt my hip and here she
Yeah.
is, here we are like that and we just looked at each other and went oh my God,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
timing,
it's like
Yeah.
it's like
they just don't end.
it's a reminder that you're absolutely guided. Like you're always guided to go there at the right time because it's like
Mhm.
it's a total reflection of your own light too, your own love, your own joy, your own light. That is
It
what
is.
that's what people feel when they're with you and around you, but that's also what you're contributing to. And it is a beautiful, beautiful story. And I'm so grateful that I know the story from you directly. Like it would be nice to read
Mhm.
about it too, but when you can hear all the nuances and the little special touches, because that's the other thing about you. I mean, you're just very thoughtful and you notice all the little details and they're all very heart-centered, and that's beautiful. And we need that right now in our world.
Oh, more than ever. More
So
than
much
ever.
joy, Martha. You have, like, you radiate joy.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You do. It's been a
Yeah.
delight.
And
Yeah.
I also just wanted to mention a little bit about your kitty, Beatrice, because Beatrice is with you always,
Mm,
always. And
mm.
any animal, is on our, our team, so to speak, but she's also your guide, and I know I was thinking about her when you were talking and when you were sharing the part about the soothing on here,
Ah,
the tail, that cats are so healing.
mm.
I mean, and they're extremely intuitive. I know you both already know that because you're animal lovers and cat lovers, but it is really interesting with cats specifically because their style of comforting you is different than a dog's. It's still
Right.
loving, but it's different. Um, and they know when we're in pain. They know when we're suffering and when we're scared. And that cat was totally taking care of you,
Mhm.
like you said.
Mm. And that's what made the loss even so much harder is because she was so much a part of my healing.
Yeah.
I just was it would bring tears to my eyes when she was so gentle and so
Oh, amazing.
talk about intuitive. Yeah, they're healing beings. They are. And I was so blessed to have her in my life. Yeah, and it's been really wonderful sharing this with you ladies. I'm so glad it's going to be shared with the group and this is the first time I've ever done anything like this where it's been recorded really and it it's makes me feel really honored to be able to do this.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's so
Yeah.
sweet. Well, we're so touched
Mm.
and moved by you sharing it with us. And so I'm going to go ahead and thank everyone for all of you for joining us today. And I'll hit the stop button here.